Hello and welcome to Morning Call. My God, the camera is always crooked. This is becoming a new thing. Hello, welcome to Morning Call for Thursday, the 31st of January 2019, the last day of the month, last show of the month because of that. Yeah, I've been doing this for a month now. Exciting. Yes, I'm Fab. I'm coming to you from Hamburg in the cold wastes of Europe. It's getting really cold everywhere here. I call it the time of ice. Got a magic card for that. Why isn't it focusing on it? Come on. Bloody camera. Anyway, it's a lovely card. It's from the Dominaria set and it fits our time right now really, really well. It's just lovely art. Why isn't that focusing on the art? Come on. Come on. What am I paying you for, cameraman? Damn, AI isn't what it once used to be. Anyway, hope you're having a good time wherever you are. I'm doing better. Yesterday I had to scratch the whole day. I just had to go to bed. I spent the day in bed. But I'm hopeful I'm getting over the hump of the flu or whatever I had, and I'm now back in action. And today the day started lovely because I got a letter. I got a letter from France, and in the letter you might know that I'm taking part in this Elite Dangerous expedition, and I know I have a patch from Distant Worlds. I will sew that onto my flight suit as soon as possible. So the day started great for me. I hope you're doing good. Let's get you into the tech news. Let's see what's been happening. We've got lots of earnings. It's earnings time. We've got lots of earnings, but also at first there were security vulnerabilities in systemd that I think I might have talked about on the show. Elite Dangerous, yeah, that is correct. 7 of 9, the best game. I think I might have talked about these. So there's privilege escalation vulnerabilities in systemd. So the startup system that what runs pretty much any modern Linux distribution. It starts all the processes, and it enables normal users to become admins through security vulnerabilities. There have been, there are patches out for these, and you should have patched. If you haven't, it's now high time because a security company called Capsulate. I don't know. Is that a pun? They have put out proof of concept, and now pretty much with the Python script. I mean, it doesn't really attack systems, but you can modify it easily. I don't think it's that hard. I think there might be some attacks happening. So I mean, you have to be on the system, you have to be a user, but you can become root. And also, of course, malware can do this, which is never a good thing. You don't want that. Patch your systemd, everybody. Yes. In earnings news, Facebook doing very well, even though they had all these scandals. Last quarter, they made a revenue of $6.88 billion, and yeah, it's looks good all around. Their not only their revenue but also their God, is that revenue? I have to look this up. I do this wrong every time. What's Umsatz? Sales. Their sales. You see, this is my dark secret. I Google everything. Yes. So their sales were up 30% as well. I mean, this isn't too surprising because Facebook, while they have many users, for a long time they had a problem making money at all. Now they are making money. Turnover, says 7 of 9. Turnover, yes. You know, financials. Jonathan Jonathan says, I already am rude. Do I get to skip the privilege escalation to go straight to the kernel? Yes, no, for that you can't be rude. You have to be Rick rude. Only Rick rude can do that. Anyway, old school wrestling joke there. Yeah, so Facebook's doing good. Even though you know, they had all these scandals and no surprise, everybody still uses them and they're still making money. They also did something really, really weird and creepy and dumb and shitty. So they're in hot water with Apple because Apple, I mean, you know, if you have an iPhone, you want to install an app on it. It has to be in the App Store. But if you're a big company, Apple also will give you. They have a system, little exclusive club where. If you're a big enough company, they'll give you a certificate that you are supposed to use for your internal apps. That means you can install them on the device without them being in the App Store. So you can basically sideload apps because you can sign them with this certificate and Apple trusts this certificate. Now, this is for big companies' internal apps that they can't put on the App Store, but which they still want to distribute between their, you know, in their users, and they might all use iPhones in the company, or a lot of people will. So Facebook had one of those certificates, and they were using that for internal apps. But Apple also discovered Facebook had an app. It's a really shitty app. It's like they advertised this mostly over third-party sites, not on Facebook directly, but it was called Facebook Analytics. You install it, and it will basically know everything you do, like to the finest detail. It's really horrible. And then, Facebook Research, sorry, not Analytics. I'm thinking of Cambridge Analytica there. Facebook Research. You install it, and then you get like $20 a month in like gift vouchers, and for that you basically you do a whole like striptease. They know everything about you, everything you do on that phone, and they were doing this. They were advertising this for 13 to 35-year-olds, so they were doing this with teenagers. Now, at first, this app was in the App Store, and then Apple kicked it out and said, well, this is against our terms of service. You can't do this. So what did Facebook do? No, they didn't stop. Facebook used that certificate they got from Apple for their internal apps to sign this app and then distribute it over, like, you know, outside of Facebook and the App Store, over third-party sites, so people would install it and could install it on their iPhones. Apple is now really pissed off with them and has revoked that certificate. They have, however, not revoked the normal certificate for the normal Facebook app. That would have been very hard blow. But yeah, interesting. Facebook is getting I mean, the amount of gall they have to pull this with Apple is quite amazing. So in the story on the Register, they say Facebook knowingly broke the rules by encouraging third parties, including children, to download the app and use it. So these are, you know, this is the rules app for Apple certificate program. So they were actually they were getting criticized for this app, and then they pulled it. So it says Facebook said it was pulling its app in response to criticism, whereas in fact Apple revoked its certificate. Oh, so they actually lied about that as well. Wow. Facebook was saying that there was parental consent, and there was no check with parental consent at all if the user of the phone was under 18. yeah, it's just I mean, this is stuff Apple says about Facebook that they did wrong, but oh god, this sounds horrible. It sounds really bad, and that they're messing with Apple as well. It's just like, wow, Facebook must have really wanted this data to risk something like this. Anyway, they're still making a lot of money, so yeah, that's just how it goes in this world. The Register with an exclusive story I found really interesting, reporting further on the outages that Microsoft has been having. So one of them was, there was is your SQL outage on the 29th. That was, let me just look. That was on Tuesday. As part of these outages, I've been also reporting on, and so basically, this was like I think this was the networking error that Microsoft talked about. So the network provider CenturyLink apparently had problems with their DNS, and that locked half of Microsoft 365 customers out of their cloud accounts. So that began on 10:45 on the 29th. But also, they apparently had a rogue script running that did something to SQL databases. So what happened is certain customers, not all of them, but certain customers in a certain setup lost 5 minutes of their database. Just anything that would have happened to this database in 5 minutes was lost, because they lost that database and the oldest backup was 5 minutes old. And Microsoft is asking them for forgiveness and saying, oh, we'll give you 3 months of database, but wow, really bad. Basically, Microsoft in that email writing to the customers, or in that message, they were asking them, did anything really important happen in these 5 minutes? You better check, because they are now gone. I mean, this is bad. I mean, I haven't actually seen that much reporting on it, like outside. Even on tech specialized tech sites. I mean, for the fact that this is like Microsoft's thing now. You run Office, you run large parts of Windows in the cloud now, and then something like this happened. And I still think this is something. This has something to do with that security problem, because that is just too much of a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences. Really, really, really interesting story. Also, just like, I mean, come on, there's like. So Microsoft was saying an automated process designed to trigger when custom keys are removed from Key Vault inadvertently caused these TDE databases to be dropped. We're in the process of restoring a copy of these SQL DBs from a recovery point in time of less than 5 minutes before the database was dropped. So this is the database. So this uses is an SQL function that's called transparent data encryption. So basically, you can supply your own key. Microsoft wants to make customers feel secure and stuff. So you supply your own key, so Microsoft can't decrypt the database. But then you you upload the. I don't really completely understand how this works. It seems it seems like you're uploading the key, and that to me seems to defeat the purpose. But so the register says transparent data encryption, according to Microsoft, is intended to protect an Azure SQL database against what the tech giant calls the threat of malicious activity. Register clearly it does not protect anything against the threat of a rogue script running amok during an outage. Bring your own key by YOK support is intended to further reassure users by allowing them to encrypt the database encryption key DEK with an asymmetric key called TDE protector. The TDE is then stored in Azure Key Vault. Okay, so you encrypt the database key with your own key that only you can decrypt, and something to do with this function caused the database to be deleted. Wow. Nice time to have your stuff in the Microsoft cloud, I guess. Speaking of big companies and earnings, Qualcomm, big chip manufacturer, also was reporting on their earnings yesterday, and they're down 20%. Chip sales down 20%. Shipments down 20%. Licensing is down 20%. So Qualcomm makes a lot of the chips that are in mobile phones, especially in the the baseband kind of stuff. The really underlying stuff, the modem and things like this. And they also own a lot of patents, which is what they make a lot of money from. But apparently, it's all down. Everywhere, and the CEO is very hopeful, but I mean, in an earnings call you would be, otherwise you can just kiss your stock price goodbye immediately. This interestingly, Qualcomm currently also being investigated by a US consumer watchdog, and there are court cases going on, and the Register reporting on the final days of one of these court cases now. So basically, the FTC is suing Qualcomm because they are saying that they have a monopoly in. They do have a monopoly-like stance in smartphone modem chips, and then they're using that to just like force unfair business deals. So I've just found this interesting because in this court case, they are saying that they're using their patents to pressure people. And you can see their revenues down, and they're still, even though they're doing stuff like this, their revenue is down. So there were people, for example, in this court case, there were people from Apple saying that what Qualcomm is essentially doing is they will pressure big companies like Apple who design mobile phones, and I guess the other one, Samsung and LG probably as well, to pay large fees for the patents in the hardware. And they were saying, well, these fees are a lot higher than normal, and Qualcomm will basically pressure them and say, if you don't pay these license fees, then you won't get any chips from us. We'll cut you off. And because they also, not only do they have a lot of patents, they also have a lot of the chip manufacturing, volume. And a company like Apple who needs a lot of chips, they seem to be pressuring them with this. This court case is still going on. Seems to be a really funny case though. Because so we're in this courtroom, and the FTC pointed out quite reasonably that using a threat of non-supply to stop people complaining about patent rights looks like a monopoly abuse. And then one of the other lawyers from he's called Robert Van Nest. He is on the Qualcomm side. He said he argued that the judge should disregard those claims as highly exaggerated because those executives are attorneys, and you can't trust what attorneys say. Register here talking, which is strange thing to hear from an attorney giving closing arguments. So strange, in fact, that the FTC's lawyer Jennifer Milici used up some of her limited rebuttal time to wonder out loud what was going on. Frankly, we're all lawyers, she noted. I think painting witnesses as dishonest because they happen to be lawyers is absurd. This seems to be great court case. Like the whole courtroom's going, what? Why are you insulting lawyers? We're all lawyers here. Maybe this is me editorializing. Maybe that's part of the problem. Anyway, just wrap this up with some other quick stuff. Tails is a Linux distribution that you can run to anonymize yourself on the internet. It has easy ways to run Tor, for example. Has a new version out, 3.12, and 7 of 9 says court cases, attorneys. Is this the Einschlafen podcast? Yes, you can also hear this at night. This is available as a podcast if you want to fall asleep. It's just, I'm sorry, Nicholas. It's just boring right now. It's just all, the news are currently really boring. It's like all all numbers. Anyway, something to wake you up. Tails, the Linux distribution, new version. So what they're actually doing is quite interesting, I found. Like many Linux distributions for a long time, their main installation method was an ISO image, and they're changing that because they're basically saying nobody burns this thing on disks anymore anyway, on optical disks. Also, like, people just use USB sticks. So they now have they're getting rid of that live not of the live system, but they're getting rid of the ISO method, and everybody runs it as a live system for an USB stick. That's a problem, and so now they're just doing what they're calling USB install method. I'm guessing this is just DDing it on the stick. Sounds like it, but it's not. Like, before you used to have ISO images that were actually made to burn them on disks, but you can also put them on sticks. But distributions kept those ISO images around because there were still people burning them on disks. And I guess we're now coming into a time where there's nobody has disk drives, nobody has disks anymore. Tells modernizing, that's quite good. And also something I found interesting and I thought I should report is I've read news of a massive DDoS attack that happened in January of this year, so this month. So a security company Imperva detected a SYN flood attack, which is quite an old school DDoS attack. It's just like flooding systems with SYN packets. Pretty easy to do. Those packets happen to be around everywhere. It's just it's per se not that easy to detect, but to actually have a SYN flood, you need a lot of packets. So then at that point you can actually quite easily detect it, I think. But still can work. Just overwhelm the system with SYN packets. And this was a huge attack, apparently. So Imperva saying that it exceeded 500 million packets per second. And they're saying here on Dark Reading, they're saying this might possibly be the largest DDoS attack by packet volume. I mean, it would make sense for that to being a SYN flood because, the small, easily spoofed, easily reproducible packets. And this looked like they came from couldn't really tell where they were coming from because this was obviously all spoofed and just overwhelming the system with packets. I thought that was kind of cool. Still, these old school DDoS attacks are around. These days, you read a lot about how they're getting so involved and they're using all these different protocols and all the different network layers, and it's all this. And then once you fight this, they switch the other one on again, and it seems like sometimes some people are still just doing it with volume and good old SYN flood. I thought that was interesting. And that's it for me for today. Tomorrow I'll bring you another show with the tech news of the day, and then I will take a few days off. I'll probably be back on Wednesday because I am flying to Brussels for FOSDEM, the biggest open source conference, I think pretty much in the world, at least the biggest community organized open source conference, and I think the coolest. And I'll maybe bring you some news from there as well. I'll be reporting from FOSDEM for Heise, among other people. And so I'll just don't worry if on Monday, Tuesday you won't get a show. It'll be like on Monday I'll still be down there, and then I just need to recover for a day, I think, because FOSDEM is very nice, but it's also very, 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 very strenuous. I've learned in recent years, when I was there. Yeah, and then this year, I mean, it's always cold there and often snowy, but this year, as we are currently in the time of ice. Oh, now it's focusing. Now it works. Just look at that card art. Oh my God, isn't that beautiful? Yeah, that's us right now. This is our saga, the time of ice. So it'll be really cold in FOSDEM. I hope I can get there and the plane doesn't ice over or under or whatever planes do. Yes, so have a nice day. Have a good day. I hope I haven't bored you too much. Although I do recommend, there's a reason I do recommend to have coffee with this show, because sometimes it's the hashtag Einschlafen podcast. Okay, have a nice day. See you tomorrow. Goodbye.